Wagwan future millionaires, Demetress Fairman here, and welcome to another video. So you know that everybody wants to know about the NHT process. So this week we're going to speak with Dwayne Berbick, and he is the public affairs manager for NHT. So who better to get the information from than somebody who works there? So this is going to be part one of this NHT series. So stay tuned and enjoy the video. All right, Wagwan YouTube, Wagwan future millionaires. My name is Demetress Fairman, and as promised, we are going to deliver our NHT video. It's been long in the making, but guess what? Information is here, and it is here from a credible source, none other than Dwayne Berbick from NHT. So I'll just hand over to him and let him introduce himself.
Thanks very much, Demetress. Dwayne Berbick, as you said, I'm the NHT's manager for corporate and public affairs. And here, as you would have indicated, to share as much information as possible about how the NHT works and how it works to benefit Jamaicans.
All right, so let us jump straight into it. As everybody know, and oh yes, here on this channel, everybody know my age right now in Jamaica, 27 years old. And the thing is with NHT, it's a cheaper process to get into the whole housing situation, to actually get a place of establishment, a place of residence for us. So if I'm going to go through the NHT as a young person, what are some of the general steps that I need before I come to you guys?
Well, generally, I always tell persons who are trying to undertake any kind of housing related activity that it really starts with research. You have to come to the process, the housing process, knowing what exactly you are getting into. And I say that because there are different options available and there are different methods for different persons. And a mortgage really is personal and it will vary from one individual to another. So Tom is interested in buying something on the open market, but that probably doesn't work for me. I have land, I probably want to do construction, that suits me a little bit more. So how and what these two scenarios will do will of course differ. So individuals, I would always recommend you to spend some time to firstly look at what's happening in the housing market and see what is realistic for them. It's a very dynamic market, it changes very often. So individuals need to at all times know where they are in the market and know where the market is. And that helps in terms of managing the expectation, because I find sometimes, or many times rather, persons think, oh, it's just buying a house. That is a quick 1-2. It really can be a quick 1-2 if you do the research and if you know what exactly you're doing. But for the person, it's not buying a car. It's not going to the supermarket and picking up this, grocery and the grocery item and that item and push a trolley and say, this is what I want. It's far more involved than that. It involves multiple agencies. It involves your realtor most times. It involves your mortgage institution. It involves different agencies of government. It's a very involved process. And I find that the disappointment sometimes comes for persons because they're not fully aware of what becoming a homeowner means from a process standpoint of just processing a mortgage. So it always starts with research, as I said. And once you do that, you know where you stand, then you're better able to navigate the space.
Let us start the process then. We are in the market for a house, new development. For instance, the Hummingbird development is an NHT development, right? If I am interested in one of those buildings, what do I need? How do I start?
Okay, so talking about NHT development specifically, the NHT advertises them when they are near completion generally. So an individual would have to pay attention to our spaces, social media, and otherwise to see when they are ready and to see how they can apply. Generally, you're looking at firstly establishing eligibility. And by eligibility, we mean that you're up to date with your NHT contributions. And generally, once there are some basic eligibility criteria that we look at. You're between the ages of 18 and 70. You contributed to the NHT for 52 weeks. And at the time of application, you're current with your NHT contributions. And by current, I mean you would have made NHT contributions in the last 13 weeks. The last 13 weeks, which is where we generally get the last 3 months pay slips from.
Yes.
And why that is important is because a lot of times persons actually forget that what the NHT is giving you is a loan, and a loan has that conditionality to it. The major part of a loan is that you must have the wherewithal and demonstrate the ability to repay that loan. So the NHT is also looking at that. So we establish eligibility first and foremost, and we generally have an open house or a house viewing for individuals to go and look at it. And it may not be for you, but you go, you look at it, you establish that, okay, it's something I like, it's something I would want for myself. And generally there is that application period during which persons put in an application for that NHT scheme. Can't put in the application before, you can put it in after. And I get this question all the time, how do I get on the list? There is no list that the NHT has. Everybody gets a fair chance. So if we say applications open September 1 and close September 3, there's nothing you can do before September 1, and there's nothing you'll be able to do after September 3.
Nobody special to talk to.
Nobody special to talk to. No, don't call me, please. Me can't help you. There's no special list. I know we generally have what we call our lead list that we if you're interested and we talk to you beforehand about it, we'll collect names, we'll collect numbers, so we can send you information to let you know when it's ready. But that's as far as the list goes. There's no priority list that we really work with. Everybody gets the same opportunity at the same time to put in their application.
So what pushes me further on that list, or what is, I'm not gonna say guarantee because it's no guarantee, but what actually give me more favor then, or a better chance of being higher on that list or being selected?
Well, the NHT looks at for the selection process, we look at a couple of variables. There are certain things that give individuals a preference, but as you have rightly indicated, it does not mean it's a guarantee.
Yeah.
So preference is always given to individuals who live in the parish. So to use that same example, Hummingbird Meadows in Carina, then preference will be given to persons who live in Carina. And it makes sense. You don't want somebody from 3, 4, 5, 6 parishes away getting the home ownership opportunity that is really, created for persons who live in that parish. That's one. Persons who work in the parish. So firstly, persons who live in the parish, persons who work in the parish. And the third variable then that we now look at that gives individuals, again, a preference, not a guarantee, is what we call the number of points that individual has. So each individual who contributes to the NHT, for every 52 weeks they contribute, they get 20 points.
Okay.
And I'll get that question again a lot of time. How much points I have?
Yeah, man.
Think about how long, calculate how long you've been contributing to the NHT, and for every 52 weeks, roughly a year, multiply that by 20, and you get the points that you will have. In addition to that, the NHT gives an additional number of points ranging from a low of 70 to a high of 110 based off an individual's income band. Who gets the 70? The person who is in our highest income band. That those are individuals who earn $42,001 per week and above. Who gets the 110? The person in the lowest income band, the person who earns between minimum wage and $15,000 per week. Why? The individual who is a low income earner, really outside of the NHT, that individual perhaps doesn't have much of an opportunity at becoming a homeowner. Okay. And when you think about the spirit in which the NHT was created, it was primarily for 2 categories of persons: low income earners and also individuals who were working for a long period of time, approaching retirement, and for some reason or the other were not able to achieve their home ownership goals. So if you look at the NHT selection system, you will see that reflected. where there is some amount of preference as it relates to these additional points to the low income earner, and that points-based system which seeks to reward individuals who would have contributed to the NHT longer. Notwithstanding though, the NHT understands that there is a bias where that is concerned, that if we're not careful all the time, the individuals who will get selected are individuals who have contributed for a very, 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 very long time. And we really try to level the playing field a little
Yeah.
by reserving in our developments units for certain categories of individuals. Who are these? We have young adults between the ages of 25 and 40. We also have persons with disabilities, and we also have our civil servants, our police, our teachers, our nurses, and doctors. So in every NHT development, NHT reserves units for these categories of persons, sort of trying to balance the playing field a little. So you're trying to spread really a very scarce benefit to a wide cross section of persons. So
Yeah.
using that tool, which we call a special benefits order, we're able to reserve some units, as I said, for persons with disabilities, for young adults between the ages of 25 and 40, and of course for our civil servants as well.
That's understandable because we have limited land, but we have a lot, I would say a diverse set of qualifications and people. And to make sure that everybody gets a piece of the pie, you try to do it as, we call it no, we call it as fairly as possible. As fairly as
Right,
possible. So
right.
when it comes to the point system, you basically explained that before. Can I pool my points with a friend or a family member or a spouse?
Yes, one of the benefits actually of contributing to the NHT is that the NHT allows any two qualified individuals to pool their benefit to purchase a property. And it can be any of those combinations that you speak of. So two individuals who qualify in their own right, because remember, started off by saying it's a mortgage, and a mortgage is individual, so it will vary from individual to individual. It's very personal, rather, so it will vary from individual to individual. Two qualified contributors can always pool their benefits. So two friends,
Yes.
uh, uh, two partners, a parent and a child,
Mm-hmm.
and just any two individuals really. Uh, but I always caution persons, remember, purchasing a property is not just a financial decision, it's also a major legal decision. So any individual you're co-applying with, both parties have to ensure that they understand what that means. That it is now a joint responsibility for both of them that they're undertaking this mortgage together. And there are different variations and different options to that. For example, a parent can pass on their points to a child. So we spoke about the person contributing longer having more points.
Mm-hmm.
So a parent would, under normal circumstances, have more points than a child. So when it comes to selection for an NHT scheme, a parent could pass on those points to the child. The parent is listed as the primary applicant, and the application forms ask these kind of questions if that's
Yeah.
what you're doing, right? So the parent passes on the child gets a better chance of being selected. And I keep saying that, a better chance of being selected, because nothing is guaranteed, really. It really comes down to who applies on the day. And the reality is that NHT schemes are still the preferred choice of home for Jamaicans. So you'll find that they are really oversubscribed. We will put 200 houses on the market and we'll get 7,000 applications. It means 200 persons are happy with us, but 6,800 persons are very, very upset. And so it's a very scarce commodity, for want of a better phrase, that we're trying to, as you put it accurately before, you're trying to stretch to a wide cross section of persons and ensuring that different categories of persons get a taste of the pie.
All right. Because trust me, the market out there, you have 50% that upset with you guys, and then you have 50% that really appreciate the service that you are doing. And as you said, it's a scarce commodity. So while some will get through and some will sing your praises, not everybody will have the same opportunity. So
True, and that is so too because Jamaica has a supply and demand problem when it comes to housing, where the research tells us that the Jamaica needs approximately 20,000 new houses every year to meet the demand that we have.
yes,
As a housing industry, and I'm talking NHT, private sector, everybody combined, we're probably doing between 10,000 to 12,000. So you realize we're only 50% of where we should be. So it means therefore that, and I mean, NHT is responsible for 85% or roughly thereabout of the 10 to 12,000 that are being put on the market. So the NHT is pumping, and I mean, we would have looked back at our housing program over the last
mm-hmm.
6 years. We would have looked back at where the NHT has land, what are the measures and the programs that we can put in place to convert these lands into houses as quick as possible. And I think we've done a pretty good job of it, having, you know, started construction on 23,000 houses over the last 4 years. Previously, over a 4 year period, we would have been looking at about 8,000. So 23,000 is a quantum leap in terms of the number of new housing solutions that the NHT is working on. So you'll see us putting out schemes more often now
Yeah,
because
man.
we've ramped up the housing program to bring as many to the market in a faster time frame because of that demand that I would have identified that we've realized. So I ask that people be a little bit more patient with us. We
Mm-hmm.
understand we're working at it, but it's going to take us. I mean, this demand has built up over decades. So it's going to take us a little bit of time, to gradually chip away at it to hopefully we're at the point where, we're able to satisfy a even wider cross section of persons and of course far more contributors as well.